discordance writhes, festers, lingers. You may have sensed the echoes of the Wort-Julio conflict, the ceaseless churn of contention, but you have not yet beheld it through the many eyes of the grave mind. Completely impartial. 6 months passed, the ripple began. An utterance, a message cast into the void, a digital infestation. L humans, W SANGHEILI. A jest, perhaps, a mere disturbance upon the surface of the network sea. But it was heard, it was felt. A human, Julio, beheld this fragment and recoiled, his mind aflame with discord, his essence rejecting of such thought. And so, the struggle began, and it has not ceased. Mr. Julio, the human so consumed by the venom of rage, could not simply let it pass. The alien jest stung deep within him, and in his fury he descended upon Wort's digital sanctuary, flooding it with hateful words. Wort responded, retaliating in kind, and the ripple widened, spreading across the network like a virus. As my tendrils reached into the farthest corners of your network, probing, gathering, and you wonder why your internet is crap. And as for Julio, his hatred, it is not subtle, it is not hidden. The human despises the SANGHEILI openly, as the seeds of his anger are for all eyes to see. But the human's fury runs deeper than simple xenophobia. It is rooted in something more primal, more raw. In the year August 5th, 2559, a new disturbance rippled through the void. A response from Julio, a reaction to Wort's words.
Please tell me I'm not the only one who feels like this. It makes me so angry. I don't understand why we even had a truce with these hinge heads.
A video, yes, but not merely a retort. It was an affront, a wound carved into the very core of Julio's being. It offended him, yes, but perhaps it was more than that.
I just need someone to tell me I am right.
A cry for help, a plea from a soul torn apart by what he perceived as mockery. His anger, his pain is not simply the heat of hatred. It is the agony of an identity shattered, the sting of a wound that will never heal. And the Flood, ever watching, knows this truth. What he calls mockery cuts deeper than any xenophobic rage. September 6th, 2559, a date etched in the darkness. Mr. Wort, blind to the inevitable, acknowledged his nemesis, the one who would become his greatest adversary. Get this video to 30 likes if you'd like me to react to this Julio the Grub Man rubbish video. A promise was made, a pact forged in the void. If Wort's video reached 30 likes, he would respond to his biggest hater. And along with that promise came with exposing something personal of Julio, a secret he did not wish for the world to know. And so, it came to pass. The promise was fulfilled. Before we delve deeper into this, another layer of the human's existence emerged. 3 more videos, each a fragment of Julio's being, each a window into his tormented soul. He spoke of Noctis Andesia, the place he called home, yet his words dripped with disdain, an unmistakable loathing for the very ground upon he walked.
This city has by far the worst infrastructure I have ever seen.
He hated it, hated everything. His vitriol extended beyond the stars, beyond the alien cultures he so despised, a festering wound in his mind. And his body, it too betrayed him, the smoker's cough growing ever more violent, as if his flesh could not keep up with the corruption within. In his words, a whisper of a lost relationship, an ex-wife, conflict, a child caught in the web of their struggles.
So picture you and your beautiful wife that you definitely don't have a restraining order against.
And it is clear that as with all things in the human race, Julio is plagued, torn asunder by his own fractured existence. September 17th, the day the cycle took a new turn. Mr. Wort uploaded his response, a video, a reaction to Julio's seething wrath. It was a response to what Julio deemed alien propaganda, a term birthed from his own fevered mind. Wort's humor, albeit sharp and biting, was nothing more than what the old folk call edgy.
He mocks it.
I wasn't mocking, I was celebrating. Is this human unwell in the head? But was it truly only that? Was it merely a jest, or was there something more? The Flood knows all too well. The reaction video, nothing more than what one would expect, a venomous concoction of wit, humor, and subtle gaslighting. Yet it was not until the final moments, the climax, that the true corruption was unleashed. Mr. Wort, with his insidious words, promised to expose the darkest truth of Julio, and so he did. Julio's obligation to pay child support truly a stain upon his existence. But the revelation did not stop there. No, Wort, ever the seeker, discovered something far darker, buried within the depths of Julio's own domain. A link hidden in plain sight, a door to something far more sinister, something that would tip the balance into chaos. A video, a twisted compilation, forged from the remnants of the past. Photographs taken during the fall of Reach, captured in time like lifeless husks. corpses of SANGHEILI strewn across the battlefield, and the humans, marines, standing above them triumphant, posing like predators over their prey. Perhaps it was not deemed a war crime in that moment, but now it is a stain upon history, a spectacle of violence that the world, in its fleeting morality, now recoils in horror from. It is not the act that is remembered, but the image, the video, as it serves as a reminder of the brutality that even humanity cannot escape. The turmoil between Julio and Wort, it settled, for a while. They drifted apart, each retreating into their own corner of the void. Julio, ever the human, continued to broadcast his thoughts, his insights on matters he deemed of importance, trivial to some yet vital to his existence. Wort, on the other tendril, remained ever the same, a beacon of laid-back indifference, speaking on topics that SANGHEILI might find intriguing. But me? The eye of the Gravemind, the one who perceives all, understands none. 4 long months passed before Wort unleashed another video into the void. A title, simple yet venomous, Fall of Reach, wasn't a tragedy. To many, just words. To Julio, a wound reopened, a scar that had never fully healed. The moment those words touched his mind, the flood of anger surged once more, deeper than before. The rage returned, a fire stoked by the very mention of the event that had scarred his people. And so, the cycle repeated, animosity, hatred, festering. But for what purpose? What does it matter? The flood does not distinguish between their anger or their sorrow. All will become food in the end. For what purpose is this bickering? Up until February 7th, it was nothing more than words, mere reactions, a dance of vitriol between two humans. But then, Wort crossed a line that should never have been touched. He struck at Julio's very core, not with sharp words or clever jabs, but with the lowest of insults. Attacks upon Julio's child.
Promise. Okay, what is short and stinks? Your offspring!
The words were clumsy, inept, poor even, yet they carried weight. A venom so foul it broke Julio, and in that moment Julio snapped. The flood of emotion, of anger, surged forth uncontrollably. Hours passed, and then the response came. A reply that would shift the balance, turn the conflict into something far darker, far more dangerous. It was no longer just a war of words. Something else, something far more insidious was now at play. Julio had doxed Mr. Wort. Panic, it spread like a sickness among Wort's followers. They saw, they knew, and they rushed to warn him. Julio had done the unthinkable. His wrath made manifest in the form of exposing Wort's coordinates, unleashing them into the abyss of the internet, where those who wished Mr. Wort harm could feast upon them. The tendrils of my awareness slithered through the chaos, latching on to the desperate cries buried within the comments. And there, a revelation. Wort was not home when the storm struck. He was elsewhere, within the shelter of his brother's domain. But the damage remains unseen and unknown. Yet what is certain is this: Julio's fury has spilled beyond mere words, and its consequences now fester. One day passed, and Wort emerged once more, his voice carried through the void to those who clung to his words, a message meant to soothe, to ease the festering worry of his followers, to assuage them that he still drew breath.
I know you've heard about the Julio situation, and I just wanted to say I'm safe. Don't worry. Please don't worry.
Yet even as he spoke, the fear was woven into his tone, uncertainty, unease, the weight of what had transacted pressing upon him.
I wasn't home when it happened. Thank the stars I wasn't home.
He was elsewhere, away from the world he once stood upon. Off-world, adrift in the vastness, contemplating exile from Sanghelios itself. He promised clarity, an update once he found stability, once he burrowed into safety. But one must wonder. Will he vanish into the abyss, unseen, unknowable? Will he shroud himself in secrecy, concealing his refuge from the ever-reaching tendrils of consequence? If he is wise, he will let his new world remain nameless, lest the echoes of his past consume him.